Google certified cloud engineer, no? Right? Google developer expert, yan. Okay? And we continue to meet each other whenever GDG Philippines comes in to Cagayan de Oro. But, yeah. Actually, what I really always want to start my talk recently, since 2017, was, in a world where machine spreads like wildfire, one man decides to share one of the tools of his trade. This February, in one of the biggest Python events of the year, this is Ansible. Anyway, so yeah, just making things a little bit lively, you know. Yep. So this talk is going to be about Ansible. So first, I would like to ask, who among you here are actually managing servers? Are actually managing servers? There are quite a number of hands. How many of you here consider yourselves full stack developers? How many? Okay, I see some hands. Yes, yes. How many of you are using Linux? Yes, yes, yes. I love you guys. Okay. Now, we'll talk about Ansible. Who heard of the term configuration management, orchestration, automation on the servers? Okay. What tools do you guys use? Chef? Chef? Puppet? Who has tried Capistrano here? Who have tried Kubernetes? No? Who among you here, before attending PyCon, knew about Ansible? Ooh! Hey! Okay. A little bit about myself. Long time open source advocate. Since 1999. I was initiated into the open source community through Holden House, Dabawen New Group, diving into Mandrake and Red Hat before, right? Okay. So from then on, I never looked back. Became a totally Linux server guy, and then yeah, those stuff there that you can see on my slide. And I also dabble a little bit with Jiu-Jitsu in my spare time. Still a white belt though. But if you don't know Jiu-Jitsu, it's actually a sport where you actually pay for classes, you show up into class, and you get choked by sweaty, hairy men. And you end up tapping out. But yeah, I'm a little bit of a masochist. But let's do a little bit of a segue for now. Automation, continuous integration, continuous delivery, and configuration management. So we need to be a little bit familiar with these terms, you know. So basically, it's quite common already that a lot of DevOps guys, server guys are exploring automation already, since it's quite tedious managing a lot of things. A lot of components. Plus, some of you, I'm sure, are already looking into or are exploring microservices. Some of you are already Dockerizing your apps, right? Right? And the number of servers that you manage will become quite unmanageable in the long term. Then we have continuous integration. So who among you here are using Jenkins? Okay, nice. TeamCity, Travis. So a lot of you are familiar with that as well. So we use that to push codes, no? To push code updates and then initiate builds to our servers on top of our cloud provider. Then the same also with continuous delivery, wherein we make sure that should we need to terminate servers, Those are done automatically. We don't need human intervention anymore. 2, clear out our assets. If we need to kill servers just to build, do updates, no? Pwede. All right. Now, the challenge is this. Or actually, there are a lot of challenges for us at InnoView Solutions. So we have cloud-based systems that we manage from time to time for our foreign principal. And we have multiple server instances. These are all on the cloud. We do not have servers on site here locally. All are on the cloud. We don't even have co-located servers. No physical servers whatsoever. Everything is on the cloud. Just to be, just a little bit of disclosure, we use Amazon for all of our stuff, okay? And aside from multiple servers, we have multiple services, we have multiple projects, and every project are being dealt with by multiple teams. And then, plus, we use a lot of different stacks based on the requirements of the different teams. There are teams who are specifically just JavaScript. There are teams who are dealing with PHP, and some teams were using Java, some teams were using C++, and then, of course, a lot of the stuff we manage are also on Python. So it's a mixed bag. So sometimes there's going to be a mess of things to manage. So I'm sure some of you already can see the nightmare, the nightmare scenario. What the heck was I doing when I was configuring the server? Okay. We also have multiple code repositories. No? We use Bitbucket, by the way. So we used to have GitHub, the private GitHub repositories, but we moved to Bitbucket several years ago. Plus different requirements per project, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And there are only 2 people managing the servers and the cloud infrastructure. What the heck are we thinking? And there are InnoViews guys actually here, and they know what I was talking about. Romar, the component server is not working. What? Were there code updates? No. Was somebody doing something funky on the server? No. Last remote login. Nobody logged in. Okay, what the heck? There must be a better way of managing servers and making sure that every time we deploy servers or phase out servers and then provision new ones, we need to make sure that each and every time we deploy and provision a server, they are consistent. When you look at the configuration, it's exactly the same. If a server for a specific project has the same requirements as this other project, when we look at the configuration, it's exactly the same. The services that run are exactly similar, only the domain and the project repository and the code that were deployed are different. But the rest of the server are generic for our profile. How are we going to assure that? I know some of you do the manual editing of the configuration. Some of you will be referencing your código, your cheat sheets, copy and paste, bang. Now, I'm sure some of you have experienced copy-pasting something from TextMate or Sublime Text or some other text editor, pasted it into a remote VI session on the server, and the damn thing will not work. What the fuck was I thinking? Right? Relate much? Oh yeah. There must be a better way. Ansible. Now, there's actually two sides of the coin here. Ansible as a company and Ansible the tool. The main focus of my talk today is about Ansible the tool. All right? Ansible the company was, well, actually Ansible the tool was created by Michael DeHaan way back 2012. So it's like around almost 5 years. And it's open source, which is what I love about this tool. It's open source, you can install it for free, and you can manage and do configuration management for your servers. No matter how many, no matter how big, no matter how far, no matter where you go, you can use Ansible. And Ansible, the company, by the way, Ansible Incorporated, was recently acquired by Red Hat. Dati, it was a startup company. And nobody gives a shit. Yet another configuration management tool. We're already using SaltStack. It's also Python-based. We're already using Chef because we love Ruby. We're using Puppet. We also love Ruby. And I'm using Capistrano, yet another tool for Ruby. But Ansible was recently bought by Red Hat. So now Ansible is going into the enterprise sphere. So if you're running servers on Linux, Unix, FreeBSD, which are Unix variants, Mac OS, no? You can use Ansible. Right. What's so good about Ansible if you're not familiar with it? It's agentless. Woo! What's agentless? Is it going to be Neo? An old SSH. I'm sure when you spawn servers or whenever you get your servers from either Amazon, Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, and Rackspace and Linode or whichever provider, Linux, FreeBSD, Unix, they come with SSH service installed, right? Right? Or you always use SSH to do your manual stuff, correct? If you have that, you can just use Ansible. No major modifications required on remote servers. The scripts that you write, or we call those commands on Ansible, are human readable. Oh yeah. Just like Python. Well, obviously because it was written using Python. Okay? Ansible was written using Python. Open source, and then tasks are also executed in order. And you do not need to learn Python to use Ansible. As long as you know your servers from the ground up, you can use Ansible. Now, what can you do with Ansible? You can provision servers. In other words, you can launch servers using Ansible. Okay? Within a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, you will have your cloud server up and running. You don't need to follow the, how much storage do I need? 60 MB? No, 60 gigs, okay? The interface. What about the private network? What about the IP address? You don't need to do that anymore. You just put it into your Playbook, bang. You can provision servers within a few minutes. And configuration management. What's good is that with Ansible, you can write your recipe for your servers and your configuration for your services, like for Apache, Nginx, what have you. You just write the recipe on Ansible, feed it, send it to your remote service, bang! Consistent each and every time. Deploy apps. Oh, hey, we need to use fail to ban, but it's default. It's already there. Yeah, but we need to configure it. Okay. 5 minutes. You have a playbook for fail to ban to configure the blocks and the drops and whatever. Send it to all your servers. What if you have 75 servers and you need to configure each and every one of them to use fail to ban? Don't tell me you're going to spend 20 minutes on each server just to edit the configuration. Don't need to do that anymore. Feed it to Ansible, let Ansible do the work, and Ansible will iterate towards each and every server. Bang, 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 bang. Within 5 minutes, probably 3 minutes tops, all your 75 servers will be running fail to ban and blocking traffic from malicious stuff. Plus, your recipe will never be lost. You will never become confused. How did I configure fail to ban? Because you still have the recipe. You can repeat it. You can continue running it over and over and over for every time you have new assets. And you can also use your imagination. When do I start using Ansible? Or when do I start using automation? When you do repetitive stuff. If you keep logging into the server to check on something, or you need to keep on provisioning servers, or you keep on copying stuff, or you keep on loading stuff, you keep on updating stuff. How many of you here who are running CentOS on the servers that you manage, that you actually bother to run yum update? Please. How many were the update problems that you have? Okay, let's forget about CentOS. Let's talk about Ubuntu, please. It's one of the bleeding edge distributions. How many of you actually bothered to run apt-get update and then sudo apt-get dist upgrade? Now, am I right or am I right? See? But us server guys are lazy. As what our scientist guys said, that they're lazy. If you are looking for lazy guys and gals, the systems administrators are one of the most lazy guys in the world. We hate repetitive stuff that are not really challenging us mentally. So if there's something that's trying to brute force our ports, time to fire up the TCP dump. Let's see. Okay? So, requirements for Ansible. Python 2.7, if you are using, a little bit above Ansible 1.5, but you can go for Python 3, you can go for Ansible 2.2. It can work also in Python virtual environments. So if you're using virtual env, that's fine. Okay? You can install Ansible on top of virtual environments. Okay. How do you install it? That's how easy it is. Pip install Ansible. Oh yeah! Ano ra? Okay? Ganyan lang. That's it. But I don't have pip on the server. Hey, you can use apt for that. Sudo apt-get install software properties common, then sudo apt-get sudo apt-add repository ppa ansible/ansible apt-get update, then apt-get install Ansible. All right. I don't need to use pip. But I'm not an Ubuntu guy. I got you covered right there, my friend. You have Yum. Install from Apple. Make sure that you have Apple release na repo configured sa distribution mo, and then you just do sudo yum install Ansible. If you are using AWS, for those using AWS, you can install Ansible from Yum right there. Okay? You do not need to do anything. Right. Now, what are you getting? When you install Ansible, you get the Ansible binary absolutely free. But wait, there's more. You get Ansible Doc, Ansible Galaxy, Ansible Playbook, Ansible Pull, and Ansible Vault. It's actually a Swiss Army knife for DevOps. So yummy. Am I brainwashing you guys now? Am I actually making you try to pip install Ansible now? While you're still connected to Wi-Fi, you can do so na sa machines nyo if you have your laptops there. Okay? You have your documentation. I'll explain about Ansible Galaxy a little bit later. You have Ansible Playbook. I'll show you a very simple one which will hit a live server. Okay? Then Ansible Pool, Ansible Vault. With Ansible Vault, you can keep your private keys. You can generate, you can generate your own SSH keys just for Ansible and keep it into a safe vault encrypted. But you can also use your generic SSH keys. The ones that you use, SSH does keygen, does TRSA. That is located in the hidden .ssh directory in your server. Di ba, merong IDRSA dun? You can use that. Pwede mong ilagay dun sa Ansible configuration. Like so. So this is an example of an Ansible configuration file. So you declare the inventory. The hosts is actually a file. It's a text file containing a list of IP addresses or actual host names ng servers nyo. Then you specify your default. These are defaults, but you can still override them. You can override them anytime within your recipes later. Okay? So, host key checking, remote port 22. You specify your default private key file, but we can override that anytime. Then roles path. Roles path are your, basically specifies saan pipick upin ni Ansible yung mga roles. I will explain roles a little bit. So, there are different components for Ansible. There's inventory, which are your list of servers that will be managed by Ansible. You have your modules. These are the different modules that you can run on the remote server. Then, of course, you have your roles or your recipes. You have your variables in Ansible, and then you have playbooks. Templates. Templates basically is like you have a generic example is you have a configuration file for Nginx, okay? And usually, most of your deployments of Nginx will have similar configurations on the nginx.conf, right? We can pick that up and we can specify which sections will be changing each and every time we deploy Nginx on a different server. We can use templates in Ansible for that. So it will copy a generic template, change where values should be changed within the template, and apply that on the remote server. And then we have files that do not really change but need to be copied onto the remote server coming from your managing machine. Yum. Here's an example of an inventory file. So there's an example using the IP address. Then you have your different servers. And notice the sections where you have the square braces there. It's called the group name. So you can actually group multiple servers under a single group name. And notice the sections where you have the square braces there. It's called the group name. So you can actually group multiple servers under a single group name. And yet, if you want to run a specific Ansible command against a certain group of servers, then you can target the group name. You don't need to itemize each and every server just to effect change. Okay? Now, with Ansible, we have what we call as ad hoc commands, which are quick one-off things, and we have what we call as playbooks, which are used basically to manage configurations. No? These now are what we call as the recipes, yung playbooks. Dito natin ilalagay lahat yung gusto nating mangyari against specific servers or on all your servers. Papatakbo mo lang and then hihintayin mo na lang kung ano magiging output. But again, you need to know what you're doing. What you need to know your expected outcome of the commands that you're going to run against the servers remotely. What's good with playbooks is that you can create complex recipes. Ooh, I need to check if this server is on this specific subnet. Tapos kung nasa ganitong subnet siya, I need to make sure that yung kanyang IP address block or yung mga netmask niya is ganito. So you can perform checks before ipapatakbo niya yung mga certain commands. Okay? You can do that with Ansible. So, example of running a basic task. This is just very, very basic. Not really that useful too much, but just for Pete's sake, Ansible all-mping, what will this do? It will just ping all the servers in your inventory. Then what about this? Ansible all-a lsb release-a. So we're running this against Ubuntu servers, right? So we perform lsb release, meaning we look at the release information of the Ubuntu distribution. There are people who are smiling, so they really relate to this. And then if you're using any Linux distribution or any Unix distribution, you have uname-a, you see the different variables that that is available to you. Actually, uname, sorry, that is about the kernel information. Right. So, Ansible, when you install Ansible on your managing machine or on your managing laptop, Ansible ships with a number of modules. Okay? So, meron na siyang sariling mga module library that you can use outright. So, some of these are actually just an example of the list, but we have a comprehensive list of all the modules available for Ansible for whatever purpose and intentions that you want. Whether you want to hunt a certain bug or you want to manage whatever, you can just go to docs.ansible.com/ansible and then modules by category, and then you will see all the modules listed there. Or, heck, just go to ansible.com and then browse. Diba? Okay. Balik muna tayo. So you can do ping, command, shell. So you can actually let Ansible on the remote server spawn a shell session and then perform bash stuff. I'm sure some of you are actually running bash shell scripts or running Perl scripts or heck, running Python and then connecting remotely to the server and do whatever. Okay? But with Ansible, you can do that as well. And then you can also schedule, yum updates, etc. So I was able to mention earlier that the playbooks are your recipes. So you can put whatever it is or everything that you want to run against the remote system, you put them into a playbook. Okay? So each playbook will run Ansible tasks in sequence and uses YAML format. Who knows about YAML, by the way? Who's familiar with YAML? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng YAML? Yet another markup language. Okay? And of course, playbooks will contain tasks and roles. And yeah, I was already mentioning about playbooks are basically recipes. Now, here's an example playbook. So this is what we call a verify facts YAML. So this is what it does. We specify a name for the playbook, and then we apply this to all, and then we become false. Meaning, once Ansible is able to successfully connect or log through SSH to the remote server, it will not perform a sudo command. Meaning, magiging default user lang siya. Okay, 30 minutes na lang daw. Okay, thank you. Right. So, this is how you run a playbook, example, against a local host. Papatakbo natin yung YAML file. Okay? Now, if we want to modify this and make it a targeted playbook, meaning we specify kung saan talaga siya papatakbo natin ng mga servers, then you can modify the verify facts YAML from here. So as you can see, it's all. We'll just modify that and change that into target. Who's familiar with this kind of style in templating? In Python, almost similar to Jinja 2 templating. Okay? So, then you can do is Ansible playbook, verify facts YAML, and then you can see there's a new option, -- extra vars, or we specify an extra variable, target, and you specify your target. Your target can be a single host, multiple hosts, separated by a comma, or a group of hosts in Ansible inventory. Ooh, here's another example, a more practical example. If you keep if you keep logging into SSH and then you just type uptime, or you usually lazy admins will just type SSH and then specify the user and the host, and then enclose the command with a single quote or a double quote, and then pass it to the server. Right? Right? Okay. We can let Ansible do that for you as well. Oh, here's another example. What will this playbook do? This will deploy Apache. Ooh, goody. Okay? Now, I was able to mention about roles. So roles will actually allow you to expand the default install ni Ansible, and you can apply more recipes. Use more recipes. And you can, this is an example of a role here. See, roles. So we have tasks with this. The task list here will be performed in sequence or in order. And then after performing these tasks, the tasks that are under the common role will be performed as well. Okay? But, pinapadali ang trabaho ng sysadmin. We don't need to write our own roles anymore. We can just go to Ansible Galaxy and download. Lazy again. Download roles that are available. So if you want to install Nginx roles to deploy Nginx standardized on your servers, you just do Ansible Galaxy install Nginx and standardized install. You will be having the same deployment of Nginx across all your servers. Yummy. Okay? Quick mentions. There are user interfaces for Ansible. Web user interfaces. So you can manage your Ansible using Tower, but by the way, Ansible Tower is commercial subscription, so medyo pricey. But there are alternatives. You can use Rundeck, or you can use Semaphore. These two are open source as well, and you can try them out. Manage your Ansible stuff, and then use Ansible to manage your servers. Ooh. Okay? But, again, I was able to mention with the fellows here that I have a surprise. I actually have two special guests. Batty. You got me again. Just how'd you do it? I'm always one step ahead of you, Joker. Pray tell, my dear bat. I see and hear everything you do, everything you say or do. Intriguing. How? I have devices all over Gotham. hundreds of them listening, watching. You could possibly manage all that yourself? I'm crazy, but I'm no idiot, my dear Cape friend. I only have one word for you. Ooh, goody! And that would be Ansible. Curses. And with that, my friends, thank you very much and good afternoon.